I try to kick as much ass as I can with what little I have. Darkness, you afraid? I'm not.
When you take a talented team of artists,
when you see that game on the screen, you say, wow, what is that? You see Vin Diesel there, and his muscles are buff. It almost looks lifelike. It's somewhat scary how realistic the graphics really are.
Very few games I've played that I've actually been frightened at.
And an epic film.
They're damn near making movies in the games and games in the movies.
You get something much more.
It immerses you in this tense kind of horror, sci-fi kind of thriller thing.
The tone of the game and mood is to really feel like Riddick. The character building is extremely important. You want to feel like you are this character.
You're gonna have something that is, you know, a home run.
This is the Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay.
The dark can protect you.
Long before Riddick would make his first appearance, a group of young programmers in Sweden were learning how to make games.
My first introduction to games was with a Spectrum computer, and I played Conan the Barbarian. Loved that. I like hack and slash.
I was always impressed when they did things you didn't think was possible. And at that time, that rarely happened in games.
My friends, where I grew up, they were, hobby programmers and making their own little games and so on. And that was really the start of it.
Soon, friends become a company and Starbreeze is born. Using the programming skills they had been honing for years, Starbreeze creates the game Enclave.
One of the great things about Enclave is that it just had a really great visual look to it. There was an extra sort of visual finesse to what Starbreeze had done.
Our technology was really good, and we got a lot of appreciation for our style artistically. That's how we got introduced to Universal. They were one of the distributors of the game in the US.
In 2002, while Starbreeze finishes up Enclave, thousands of miles away, a company starts thinking about making a title of their own.
The concept of Tygon is quite a unique thing. It's a game production company. So it's neither a developer nor is it a publisher. But its purpose is to create franchise or create IPs that can be used in all these different mediums. When Vin was setting something up in the game industry, it really clicked and had a lot of ideas.
Having a Tygon, my company that creates these games, I can use all of this pool of knowledge about the world and incorporate it into the video game and keep the video game consistent with the movie.
Vin, really knows games, which I was really surprised about. Plays obsessively. He's a big D&D fan. Totally embraced that kind of form of entertainment. And I think he, always had this concept right from the start, was to create a game company that could generate IPs, can generate franchise.
While Tygon is thinking about turning a movie into a game, Starbreeze is doing the same.
I was marketing manager at that time, so I tried to find projects for the team, and I went to Universal to make a Lord of the Rings game. We were working with Enclave and the type of style. I thought this is really cool for us to do Lord of the Rings.
Starbreeze first came to our attention. They were doing Enclave on the PC for our paired partnership group. We got to work with them doing a port of the Xbox version to the PC. After going through Enclave and looking at it, we felt they were a perfect match to do the version of Pitch Black or Riddick.
And then they approached us with Pitch Black instead, and that was the perfect thing for us, and we really were excited because it was not the same as fantasy. The guys wanted to do something new and do futuristic games, so Pitch Black was perfect.
We work closely to extrapolate that into a game design. Riddick's their first game that we're involved with. It's based in the universe of the Chronicles of Riddick and Pitch Black. It's not a movie translation game. It's not based on that film. It's a much bigger thing. It's expanding the story from both Pitch Black and Chronicles, and it fills in some holes about Riddick's background.
When you have developers like Starbreeze and when you've got Universal and Tygon all coming together to make this gaming experience, you're going to have something that is, a home run.
Now that the movie team has found a developer, the work is about to begin. In early 2002, the developer Starbreeze begins to work on a game based in the Riddick universe. But making a game based on a movie can be a difficult job, even for experienced developers.
The exciting thing about using a licensed product, foremost, is from the beginning the team really felt like, I don't want to work on the licensed product. But since we had a chance to do a prequel to a movie, and not doing it based on the movie, we got more freedom to do more innovative stuff.
Some game developers find that restrictive, but other developers think this is great. We can concentrate on making the game. We don't have to worry about creating this whole, epic universe with all these characters and planets and locations. We can concentrate on making a great game.
Before work on the game can begin,
The dark.
there are a few things to settle, like what the game will be about.
Being a producer on the Chronicles of Riddick allows me to lace the video game with story that complements the movie. There's information in the video game that helps you understand the movie if you want to really, really, really get deep into the kind of mythology of it all.
The beginning of a game is always the most difficult part because you have no idea, it hasn't taken shape yet. So whatever you're doing, you don't know, you don't have that kind of focus that you develop later on. Everything by that point is utter chaos. We tried to retain some of the sensibilities from the movie.
So we're telling the story about Riddick when he escapes Butcher Bay.
Prisoner walking!
Which is a triple max prison facility on this
Planet of desert.
The game is taking place prior to the Pitch Black movie. It's also prior to the new movie.
Hey, what are you bringing to us? Things don't stink.
The game is set 10 years before the movie. We really wanted to do that in order to add value to the franchise as opposed to translating the movie directly into a game.
Okay.
So a player that gets through this game and then goes and sees the movie is going to get more out of the movie than someone that just goes to see the film.
It's not just a play the movie game.
Hey, come talk to me for a second, will you?
It's actually conceived as a prequel to the movie. So the idea is that you'll play the game before the movie comes out, and it'll sort of lead you up to the actual film. And this isn't sort of some story that was dreamed up by the game developers and had nothing to do with the movie team. David Toy, who actually created the universe, he worked alongside the game developers to create the storyline for this, so it would really lead up to the movie in a fantastic way.
So from day one, he's always been giving us feedback on our way of creating his universe.
So it's great because you'll play the game, then you'll get to go see the movie, and you really get two stories for the price of one.
In this huge epic, if you don't have the room, really, to explain some backstory,
you cannot escape your destiny.
I can escape anything.
Like Butcher Bay.
You can then take ideas that you don't have time for in the movie and now incorporate them into the video game in a cool way.
The pit looks like a way out.
So now the video game player is experiencing story firsthand in an intimate and interactive way.
Maybe you got what it takes, Riddick.
You don't know so much about him, And that's interesting, and that's something that we get to tell in our game, is more about his background.
Riddick is like the evil character, but not really.
We're gonna kill you!
Very tough guy. He's extremely on his own. He's a loner. He's a lone wolf. He's a hero. He's not a superpowered guy, but he almost has superpowers. You get this feeling from the character that he can do anything. It's like in the movie where he just dislocated both arms to get free. He doesn't really care.
It ain't the fall that gets you.
He also has these features that's make him good for a game.
You have been blind for far too long, but your world is about to get more colorful.
He has his Riddick eye shine. He has his story about his previous life. Mystified character in a way. So he's really good and fits the game perfectly.
What do you see? Everything.
But even the best games can fall flat. Once the developers have found a setting for Riddick, they find things for him to do.
So there is a really balanced blend of stealth, frenetic shooting, or intelligent navigation.
Locked.
To get further along in the game.
Not a problem.
And there are multiple ways of achieving an objective as well, so you can choose to be more stealthy or frenetic, action and all that sort of stuff.
The sneak mode in the game is something that we put in there to give the player the feeling that, okay, now you're sneaking. You're really sneaking now.
There's a stealth element to the game, which is really pretty interesting. When you actually go into stealth mode, the color of the screen changes. Basically turns to a blue hue, so you know that you're actually hidden in the shadows. It's kind of nicer to do that as opposed to having a whole bunch of icons on screen.
You must be here somewhere.
You don't have all these sort of, windows all over the game screen to mask the environment.
Someone's here. I'm gonna check.
The eye shine in the game is something we use in dark areas. If he uses it in a light room, it's gonna be a problem for him because it's gonna get so saturated and bright, so he can't use it there. But in dark areas, he can use this. To really use the eye shine is to first take out the lights in an area.
Who's breaking those lights?
How can we do gameplay and atmosphere around this technical aspect? In its simplest form, you hide around a corner and you see someone's shadow, and that's a way to know where an enemy is. But in Riddick, we, hopefully we've taken it to the next level, where you really do choose to take out lights, then use the darkness to your advantage. It immerses you in this tense kind of horror, sci-fi kind of thriller thing. That's the entertainment value.
The reason we use the third person is that in first person usually you just see the world. We implemented that you can see your own body to get the more feel that you are the character, and also that you get to see Riddick when we go in third person, when he climbs. Which makes you feel, oh, that's me, I'm playing.
The combat system is Riddick features first-person fighting, where we try to emphasize the feeling that you are Riddick and you're hitting someone, and we really want to translate that as a good feeling for the player. It's raw fighting.
It's got elements of fighting.
Come on, you fucking coward!
It's got elements of adventure. It's got elements of storytelling.
I should just have them put slugs in both your heads right now.
Why ruin a nice carpet?
And when you put it all together, it's one of the most anticipated games of the year.
I expect things could get ugly.
I'll be disappointed if they don't.
The team at Starbreeze knows they need a look that is just as cinematic as the film it's based on.
The technology in Riddick is the latest stuff you can see today. It's really using all the powers in the consoles and gives us an engine that can take care of the graphics and detail we really want in the game.
I think what makes the Riddick engine interesting is the visual look of it. When you see that game on the screen, you say, wow, what is that? I've never seen those kind of graphics before.
First of all, it's a stencil shadows, and we are using normal maps.
What normal mapping is basically adding more depth and texture to a character, and it makes it more realistic, more like life. The shadows look more detailed and more intense, and therefore when you look at a normal map character, you automatically say, all right, that's more like reality, that's where games should really go.
The tone of the game and mood is to really feel like Riddick. The character building is extremely important. You want to feel that you are this character. The best way of doing that is to, first of all, that you see yourself and it looks really good and real. That it doesn't look like blobs on the face. It's just a really, really detailed face of Riddick.
There's a finesse to it that you see Vin Diesel there, and you know his muscles are buff, and when he walks, it almost looks lifelike. It's somewhat scary how realistic the graphics really are.
He did 3D scans so we could get really good features on the character and his voice.
You're not still mad about before, are you?
I think that's the best way to build the mood, is to have the real character.
Well, let's see. Am I still mad about before?
Just roll it when you're ready.
Aren't you gonna do something for that weapon slap?
Let's do one more round.
Come on.
Riddick wouldn't be complete without the actors who make the characters what they are.
Hey, well, looky here.
Having the star doing the VO for the game is extremely important. Just to get the team's feeling that he's part of this project is very important.
Get out of here.
Also to get the right feeling of the game. I mean, if you use somebody else's voice, it will be noticed.
Now, you ain't paid me for that shank, so it ain't yours.
Come take it.
It's all this part of being perfect on everything is also, of course, to have the star's voice.
It belongs to me.
We got the VO for Vin, which is great to have in the game.
Now things get interesting.
Obviously. He's a great character and makes the voice really good, and it really is Riddick in the game.
Gonna need some eyes.
Vin Diesel is actually an integral part of the game. And what Vin has done is he actually really participates in the development of the game. So yes, his likeness is there and his voice is part of the game.
Darkness.
But he's actually a producer on the game. And I mean, in the past, people would say, oh, you know, an actor doing a video game, he's just gonna wreck it.
I'm a real fighting game guy.
But it's a tribute to Vin that he really has created a game that is really solid, and it shows that his involvement actually meant something to this project.
Well, let's see. Am I still mad about before?
I play Abbott. I'm in charge of the slam.
Prisoner walking.
We're telling the story basically of how Riddick, before he got to the movie, this is where he was in the slam, and you know, he was a prisoner, and I play Abbott.
You're a hard ass, Riddick. But we're about to soften you up.
You know, I'm not really badass.
We're moving again, Riddick. They just transmitted a safe route through the minefield.
Originally, when I did this movie, a little longer than 4 years ago, I was really excited about, you know, the experience in working with Vin and David Toohey, and we got down to Australia and had a blast down there. And to actually come back and actually look at myself in video game form is really interesting.
You got nothing left to live for, Riddick. I do. Now shut up.
You don't know what you're f***ing with.
That is right, Riddick.
I play Shara, which is the same character I play in the film, The Chronicles of Riddick. I play his primitive side. I'm heard only by voice.
Your destiny lies elsewhere, Riddick.
And I'm asking him to recover his identity. Doing voiceover is really different. You're not actually on a set. You're often not there with the other actors, so you have to really, really have a rich imaginary world.
There is a fury within you.
And that's sometimes challenging.
Set it free.
The Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay combines the best of films and games to become a truly immersive and cinematic experience.
The Xbox is a really powerful system. Riddick is really taking the Xbox to a whole new level. So people played Halo, they said, hey, this looks great. I can't imagine graphics getting any better. And then here we have Riddick coming out and taking the system to a whole new level.
It's not the days of Pac-Man or, where everything is just one-dimensional. As the technology develops and everybody pushes the envelope as far as creating the games, the more that the public gets interested.
The response to the game has been phenomenal. But it really is an amazing game in all aspects, story and art and technology. Very few games I've played that I've actually been frightened at points. This is one of them.
It's a very fun experience. It's not as precious as filmmaking. You get to do things and hide behind computer-generated characters for this video game just to have fun with. And that's what actors do. Actors play. Actors role play. Actors have fun. It's a modern-day puppet show.
Come on, prisoner. Give up.